Hi everyone, and welcome back to Mission 1820 and this week's episode of Have You Ever Wondered? Now, if you're just joining us, we have been in a brand new series called Books of the Bible, where we are giving introductions into each book of the Bible, still in just 5 minutes or less. So, this week we are actually in the Book of Deuteronomy. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The Book of Deuteronomy is the last of the first 5 books of the Old Testament that we now know as the Torah, as well as the Pentateuch. The book derives its name from the Greek meaning of second giving, or more correctly or accurately, a copy of this law. The genre of the book is essentially narrative with the intention of teaching. Now, the book was written about 1405 BC by Moses in the plains of Moab. Now, the entire book surprisingly takes only about a month of time before they actually entered the promised land of Canaan. However, the book was most likely finished by Moses' successor Joshua due to his death. Now, the book of Deuteronomy, in its broadest outline, is the record of the renewal of the covenant that was given at Mount Sinai, and it contains Moses' final words of warning and blessing to the people before they entered the promised land. And because Moses will not be allowed to enter the land by God, Joshua has been appointed as his successor to lead the people into the promised land. In the book, Moses reminds the people of God's actions in the previous 4 books that we've covered, such as God's promises to Abraham in Genesis, his faithfulness in rescuing Israel in Exodus, his holiness in Leviticus, and his punishment on the unfaithful in the book of Numbers. Because the book is essentially that of Moses giving 3 sermons to Israel, it can be divided into 3 separate parts, with the first part being Moses' sermon on what God has done for Israel. This is covered in chapters 1 through chapter 4, verse 33. The second is Moses' sermon on what God expects of Israel. Those are in chapters 4, verse 4 through chapter 26, verse 19. And the third part is Moses' sermon on what God will do for Israel, found in chapters 27 through chapter 34, verse 12. Some of the key people in the book are basically Moses and Joshua. Now, the book's primary setting is in the countryside east of the Jordan River, which is opposite of Jericho. Some of the key events that you're going to read about are the sending of the spies to check out the promised land. You'll read about God's instructions to Moses to view the promised land. You'll also read about the death of Moses on Mount Nebo and the change in leadership in Israel with Joshua as his successor. You know, in the end, the book is all about repetition and reinforcement of the law that was provided by God to Moses to give to the people of Israel as they head into the promised land. You know, not only does the book of Deuteronomy reveal that God's love is what motivates him to govern his people as he does, but the book also emphasizes that man's love for God should be what motivates his people to obey him. Now, I know this was a short introduction into the book of Deuteronomy, but I definitely hope that it will help get you started. So God bless, and thanks for watching.